My name is Nate. I'm the communications specialist at UMFS. I'm pleased to be joined today by Andrea Walker, the UMFS Assistant Director of our South and West regions. I'm also joined by Michael and Alicia Byrd and 16-year-old Jordan, who the Byrds are caring for through Kinship Care. Welcome to you all, and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Good morning to you.
Good morning. Andrea, I'd like to start with you, if I may. Can you please give us an overview of the Kinship Care model?
Kinship care really refers to the care of children by relatives, or in some jurisdictions, by close family friends, which is often referred to as fictive kin. And also, Nate, relatives are the preferred resources for children in care when they have been removed from their birth families, because it continues to maintain that child's connections with other families. And we feel like it's just so important for kids to just maintain that connection with close family friends or somebody within that family. And we just want to make sure that, it's relevant that kids, thrive in care in a way that we've seen them thrive in care is if they have those connections. So that kinship care is a way to bridge that gap, even if it's through traditional or fictive kin.
Mr. and Mrs. Byrd, I wonder, can you please talk about how it is you came to become kinship caregivers for Jordan?
It was a great experience. I was working for a company that actually we specialized in at-risk youth. And one of the things is Jordan came into the program. And when he came into the program, I was supervisor over the program, and it allowed me to get a chance to interact with these young men and their families. I was, again, over the boys division and met Jordan and, kind of developed a relationship. I had a pretty decent relationship with most of the guys. And then one day we were sitting at court, and I had met one of his relatives, and we were there talking, and then it came back from the social worker that there was a need for possibility of Jordan needing additional care, and, be it foster care. And so, at that point I was a little reluctant, but I think my heart overwhelmed my mouth. And so my heart was like, this is a good kid. And then I had a chance to read his treatment plan. I had a chance to read his history. All those things came into play as to exactly what Jordan was going through, the things, be it PTSD, the things that he was experiencing. And so it got to a point that I said, well, I hadn't talked to my wife yet. And so, I finally made the commitment to the social worker before I even talked to my wife. That's a dangerous experience. But the reality was, when I'm led by the Spirit, I'm led by God, led by the Holy Spirit, that, if it's something we have to do it. And I won't say that I was just so gung-ho. It's just there was a leading that said this young man, I'm not saying he didn't belong at the facility, but for me, he did not belong at the facility based on what I had read about him and then the interaction that he and I had. So I think that it was more of a minds coming together and a spiritual move on my part that, I knew that there was something special about this young man.
I wonder if you can just expand on that, the interactions that you had with Jordan, why he was at that facility where you were working.
Well, the interaction was a good interaction. We talked. Jordan is an excellent talker. He loves to talk. But I think it was the fact of when I started listening to him, oftentimes you have to go past the verbalization and deal with what's on somebody's heart. And when I saw things that he was expressing, ways that he was, and even some of the moments that he had, it allowed me to develop a relationship with him. And the guys know, I think at that time, some of that time, COVID had started, and I told them, y'all in Mike Byrd school. So we have a different understanding. But the reality is that it allowed he and I to interact, to understand one another and to talk. And he had no problem expressing most of the time his feelings. But I think it was that ability for Jordan to express himself of the things that he felt like he needed, or even his accepting certain challenges that he's had in his life. And I think that opened me up, because you can be reluctant because you don't know backgrounds of where some of these young people come from, and some of it's not their fault. Some of it, they just are part of a situation, a part of circumstances. But when you see a young man like Jordan who rises above a lot of his circumstances, he had challenges in certain areas of his life that at that point when he was at the facility that I had to attend to. But dealing with correction and getting him back on track, and him being a part of the JROTC. And he's he's a very active young man, so that helped kind of open me up to a different relationship with him. And sometimes they know, Pastor Byrd. They never call me Mike Byrd, Pastor Byrd, Pastor Byrd. Sometimes I didn't get tired of my name, but they kept using Pastor Byrd. So I said, well, we're going to go with that, because if they have a level of respect for that, then we walk with that. But to know that at the facility I was working at, we prided ourselves in making sure that children get back home with their parents, or get into a situation, be it fostering or whatever it is, that's going to improve the quality of their life. And that's what I saw.
The Byrds have shown that they are really committed to providing Jordan with a loving and safe home. They assist him with maintaining connections to his biological family, and they fully support that relationship with his siblings, with his mother, and with his grandmother. Jordan has a healthy relationship with Mr. and Mrs. Byrd and their extended family members.
Jordan, I wonder if I can turn to you for a moment. Can you tell us a little bit about your relationship with Mr. and Mrs. Byrd, and specifically, how have you grown, or how have you all grown since you first came to live with them?
I met Pastor Byrd, and I was just sitting there in my own business then. I wasn't really talkative at first, but then the next day I was moving, I was up early, I was always up. I maintained to do everything around this home and everything, and make sure everything was clean, everything was done. My school was getting better. And then I built a relationship with Ma, because I didn't really see Ma all the time because she was working. Pastor Byrd was working with me. And then some days Pastor Byrd would go home, we'd be like, all of us at that home were like, yeah, Pastor Byrd need to be here because we not enjoying ourselves. We like what Pastor Byrd did. But then I think one day I was with Pastor Byrd, and we was just in the house talking. We were talking about a horror movie, and I had a banana in my hand.
Yeah.
And
the banana in the head. Yeah.
And then me and my friend were joking around, and we were like, would you rather grab a knife or a banana? If somebody's trying to kill you, what you gonna defend yourself with? I had a banana in my hand, and I went to sling it, and since it was so curved, it slung at the wall, almost hit Pastor Bird's head. And he was like,
that was there.
But yeah,
your friendship.
That secured our relationship. I can bet you that.
It
Never
was.
had a banana thrown at me, so that was good.
And pretty much we got closer and closer every time. I always talked to him. He always talked to me, see what was going on. And then if I did have something going on, I would always be open to make sure everything was straight, because it's the best thing to do. And then I always talked to him, make sure everything was good. My head was right. My head went all over the place. And pretty much once I went to the other place when I was in foster care and moved around, then I came and visited on the weekends all the time, which was a good thing, because I finally got to get a feel of the house more. And then once after that, then I got placed here, and everything got better and better, and then I was a family, a happy, enjoyable family.
Do you feel like you were in a situation now that's really nurturing who it is you are at your heart?
Yeah, I pretty much, yes, sir. I think some moments I do be like, what do I want to do? What do I want to change sometimes? And then, because I mean, I am me. I'm better than what I used to be, but I always want to be better sometimes. And then I just gotta sit there and work on myself. And then my school now is beyond phenomenal. My grades are straight A's. I haven't failed. My lowest grade is probably an 80 something.
That's what it is. But it was a 93.
As a school grade, but as in any classwork, it's an 80 or below, something like that. But my lowest class grade, as in term grade, is an 86 at the moment, but it's supposed to be a 93. But I got straight A's.
Mr. and Mrs. Byrd, can you please talk a little bit about the process for you all to become kinship caregivers? Did you know you wanted to open your home, and what did that process look like?
I'll let my wife go ahead and answer that. We talked about this question, so I'll let her answer, and then I'll come behind her.
The process, it was long, but it was a long process, but it was worth it. The classes that we were in with Miss Andrea were really good, and I mean, it taught us things like how to handle situations, like the way we raised our kids before. It taught us different solutions to issues and the different ways to handle it. But like I said, it was a long process, but it was worth it. And in the end, we really enjoyed it. We really enjoyed it. And when it came to the end of it, and actually, we hated not having to meet with her every week to discuss, different things. But yeah, it was long, but it became enjoyable.
It was a great experience, and I want you to know Ms. Walker had a chance to eat my cooking. She survived. I want you to know that. But the reality is that I think, I'm going to be honest with you, the class allowed my wife and I to do more soul searching, because I think that we, as parents, we can feel as though we've got parenting down pat, and I think that the process that UMS takes you through, it's one of being a better communicator with youth and understanding, because sometimes I think we can take a look at how maybe we were raised or how we see things, and we don't, sometimes our kids don't see things the same way we do. And it opened my wife and I up to understanding that not just with Jordan, but even with our kids, our grandkids, that we have to practice certain things. We learned this thing about the difference between discipline and correction. And I think oftentimes it's such a thin line with people, but you learn that, okay, fine, correction is for a reason. We understand discipline does occur, but it needs to be more corrective. You need to get to a mode where you're very corrective, where you're beginning to open and understand. You ask questions. I know Jordan probably gets tired of me asking questions, but the reality is, it brought myself, even as a pastor, I've been pastoring 38 years, it gave me a greater sense of understanding how to communicate with people, and not just youth, not just kids, but people in general. Am I communicating? Am I listening? And I think those classes did that, and I'm not trying to give somebody kudos to Ms. Walker, because she did say the food was good, but the reality is this, is that I think that the UMS program and how they facilitate this is excellent. And I think that every parent, if you're in the kinship care, if you're in fostering, whatever it is, if you're having to, I think parents, period, this needs to be offered to parents who are willing to structure their life and understand how to give a child a structured life, because some parents don't have communication skills. And I think the UMFS program did that for my wife and I, because we came back, we talked about it. We got on the phone with Miss Walker. And listen, hey, Nate, I'm a preacher, so if I get too windy, just don't take an offer. My wife, she'll slap my leg and tell me stop talking. But the reality is, I think that it's a great program that all parents need to have a portion. So I don't know whether that's something that you all can offer, just the community as a whole, the ability to learn how to parent, because I think that's something missing in our community.
Yeah, I think what they did was they broke down the topics, and then they also gave examples of how this could be put into work. So that helped a lot.
And Andrea, I wonder if we can springboard off of that and talking a little bit about the importance of the process. Your team does such a nice job with the process and helping coach folks through this. Can you talk a little bit about that, and also then really just the overall importance of kinship relationships for the youth?
With the process, just as Mr. and Mrs. Byrd stated, there is a process that families have to go through where you're taking classes, and the way it was broken down, we had to complete them virtually, of course, but it was different topics that really pertain to the children that you're going to work with who have been through traumatic situations. So we talk a lot about discipline, we talk a lot about grief and loss, and we also talk a lot about how to communicate, how to build that relationship, and that's a priority. The priorities are keeping kids safe and building that relationship with them. And it was just important for me, as I was working with Mr. and Mrs. Byrd, to really understand how this may look different as you being a successful parent for kids that you have a foundation with. It is going to look different. However, the tools that they just talked about, you can use those tools with, you're right, any kid that comes into your home, your biological kids, your adoptive kids, or kids that you are working with through kinship care. I feel like kinship care, again, is very important, as you heard the Byrds talk and myself talk about how it's so important that kids are connected to their families. And Mr. Byrd and Jordan talked a lot about how they connected. Jordan was right in his community, and that's what it's all about. Just Kinship Care really allowed Jordan to maintain those critical family connections. He's right in his community. He didn't have to change schools. And Mr. and Mrs. Byrd worked to develop that relationship with him. And while he was in a foster home, they maintained that. He left the facility and he was in one of our foster homes while they went through the training process and completed that. And it was just so important for them to maintain that connection with him on a regular basis. They did whatever they needed to do. So Jordan knew, okay, this relationship just doesn't end because you're in this home. We're going to continue that relationship. We're going to do what we need to do to become a kinship family for you. So I really appreciated how patient they were through that process, because you're right. For any family, if you haven't went through going through classes, having to go through background checks, that is a lengthy process. And especially, you don't know what you don't know. So I know at the beginning, towards the end, they were just, some days I know that they were just like, whoo, this is a lot of paperwork. Okay, but you're asking me to do it. I'm going to do it because I know it's very important for us to do what we need to do so Jordan can be joined with us.
What do you all like to do together? Tell us about this unit that you all have, and what are some of Jordan's interests?
Yeah, his overall interests basically are just he sometimes he's a loner now. Sometimes he likes to be by himself, and sometimes he does those things that we don't try to disturb that space with him. Let him have his space. He needs it. But his interests, he loves family, loves his mom, loves his brother and sister. So, and he has an interest for animals. He said he's gonna take the dogs with him when he gets grown. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, he can have them. But the reality is, I think he has a wide range of interests, and I think what gets me the most, and I'm not trying to be too wordy if my wife slaps at me, his interest in school is phenomenal. I think that he loves school. He likes school, and he's making straight A's now. I think it promotes him to do more. So he has a great interest in education and reading. So I think I said everything in one sermon on that one. So
I'm going to move back to Andrea, if I may. Can you talk a little bit more then, please, about the benefits and supports available to families through Kinship Care?
Yes, Nate, that's a really good question. A lot of people are wondering about, okay, so I'm going to be a kinship parent. What are you going to provide to me? How are you going to support me? And what we talk a lot about are just those supports around training. Families are going to need those tools to take care of kids and to help meet those needs. And we provide families with training as they're going through that approval process and that ongoing training to continue to help them fill their parenting toolbox. They will have a UMFS caseworker who will provide 100% support. Whatever a family needs, the UMFS caseworker wants to be there to provide that. The family will have a full treatment team that really can provide services and help with that decision-making process. UMFS will provide tools around crisis intervention if necessary. Whatever, a family needs, whatever they want to learn more about, we want to make sure we customize your process so that you get what you need in order to maintain stability in that home. When Jordan, joined his kinship family, they ensured that he maintained that contact with his biological family members. And, when I first met the Byrds, they talked a lot about that with me, and that was just important to me because that's something that UMFS believes in, just those connections. And they weren't, turned off by him wanting that connection, wanting that relationship. They felt that that was one of the things on the list that was a priority to support Jordan in that. And I appreciated the Byrds as we continue to go through that process. And, they always talked about how that was something that they wanted to make sure that Jordan continued, and they wanted to support him with that.
Jordan, may I ask you another question?
Yes, sir.
You talked a little bit about it earlier, but I wonder if you can go a little more in depth. How has this situation changed things for you?
Well, I guess it's a little hard being away from family, but after a while, I got back to a relationship with my mom, my dad, the rest of my family, everybody else, and pretty much it's it affects me, but it don't affect me like it used to. I've grown and changed to forgive and forget a lot of things that has happened in my past, and then I've grown from those. And then I don't know how to put the word, but
Just saying.
like I'm growing from it. It's something else though. Cherish my peace and happiness of my family.
Yeah.
That's all I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for. I had to think to myself.
That's great, Jordan. And I'll reiterate what I said earlier. You're very self-aware, very well spoken. It just sounds like you're doing very well, and I'm very happy to hear that. Mr. and Mrs. Byrd, I'll ask you the same question. How has this opportunity, how has this situation, again, you talked about it earlier, but expanding on that, how has it changed you all?
I guess for me, it's like I had, getting comfortable with someone that I knew but I didn't really know. It's different when you're living with somebody and somebody bring them to your house on the weekend maybe. Mm-hmm. So it's actually it's changed for the better, because I didn't know I had so much love, so much more love to give to someone. And the fact that when he came here, he said that he just wanted someone to raise him, and to have what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, that's it. Stable family. And so I'm happy that we can provide that. I feel that he feels that we are doing that for him. Mm-hmm. So like the changes for the better. Everything's good.
And I'm the same way. I think that it has been a new arena for us. Mm-hmm. Our kids are grown, and so when Jordan came into our life, you have to reassess. There's a time in your life you feel like, Lord, I'm a little too old for this. Not telling how young I am, but you can get a little too old, and you're like, Lord, what do I do? These kids have new terminology, have a new dialect. They talk differently, and so But love for me is the greatest thing, regardless of whether I can understand your language or either how you posture yourself. Love is something that I learned a long time ago that covers everything, not so much just a multitude of sin, but everything. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes in meeting a lot of young people, you find out that some of them, when they go home, they're missing that one key element, and that's love. That's true love, not love that says, oh, I love you. No, it's a real true love that says, not only do I care about you, I'm concerned about you, where you're going, where you came from. I'm concerned about reestablishing that relationship with you that you have. I'm a believer in family. I'm such a strong believer, Nate, in family, that our job, while we're fictive kin, we're parents. In my job, he has a mother, he has a father, he has a grandmother, he has siblings. And it's not to cause that to be cut off, but to see what we can do as a husband and wife, as a parent, to bring him back into the realm of what he came from, his family. And that's very important to him. And if we can do that, and it also means talking with mom. We've had quite a few conversations with his mom. We're working with situations about him being with his siblings. So all of those things are working for the good. And so I think that the greatest thing that it's taught us is that we still have a lot more love to give. And so, and Jordan he's a great young man to give it to. And we appreciate him. And we've learned, like I said, I don't think we had to learn how to love. We just learned we had some more love to give. Mm-hmm. And so that means a lot to my wife and I. Mm-hmm. I guess Nike said it the best, just do it. Mm-hmm. The reality is, I would tell anyone that if it's on your heart, opening your home is one thing, but you're going to have to open your heart. Yeah. And if it's on your heart to help a child get themselves to a point in life where they can look back and realize, even all the situations I went through, I'm still a success. I'm still vital in somebody's life. I'm still valuable. You have to instill value in people. And when you want to deal with the kinship program, I won't tell you it doesn't take a special person. It does. And I'm not saying my wife and I are those special people, but I say that you have to have a love in your heart for young people. You have to have a love in your heart to help somebody along. And if you don't, then don't do it. Don't do it. If you're in this for finances, you're in this for the extra, don't do it, because it's a waste of time, a waste of effort. But if you really want to make an impact on somebody's life, then do this. Just do it.
Worthwhile.
Go through the, say it again.
It's worthwhile.
It's worth it, because I think when it starts dealing with, when you deal with love, and you really love people, I'm not saying you don't go through changes or challenges, but the Bible says love covers a multitude of challenges. And when you see these kids in this world, and some of them don't have an opportunity, and you open your doors up to them, you got to open your heart and realize these children are worth it. Jordan is worth it to us. Not only Jordan, but the other young men that I had to be with, the other people, the other kids, they're worth it. They have challenges, they have background issues, they have those things, but they are God's children. They are creations of God, and they are worth it. And if you feel like you've got a heart to do this, my thing to anybody, if you listen, do it. Do it. But learn how to do it. Learn what UMFS has to teach you, because it's gonna, my relationship with my children is better because of UMFS. That's the truth. And my children are grown, and I get on their nerves, because it's hard as a dad to let your children grow up. And my baby girl had to let me know, Dad, I am grown. I'm in the Navy. I'm 30 years old. I am not a little girl. I said, well, you still daddy? She said, yeah, but I'm still grown. So it helps you to understand that you're going to walk across people in this life. Please forgive my longevity in this, but the reality is it's worth it. It's worth it. Every day it makes me assess myself. Every day it makes me assess, okay, Jordan, we had a challenging moment. Come on, man, let's talk. It opens me up, because they'll tell you, I'm not a real big talker. I talk more now at church than I do in the other place, but I guess they get tired of hearing my mouth. But the reality is, for anybody who wants to do this, for me, do it. It's worth it. It's a life-changing experience.
Yeah, I think it's worthwhile, because once he becomes an adult, to see the success of it, is what's going to make it worthwhile. Mushy anyway, but I can see him growing already, and that's it's wonderful. I just want him to grow up to be a good man with good standards, and just believing that he can do anything, as long as he's doing it the right way.
Part of my job is to try and help verbalize or tell stories, and when I have an opportunity to meet families like you, it makes my job easy, because I don't have to say anything. You all are a real inspiration, and it's so powerful and appreciated what you do. Andrea, if we can move to you as we sort of close out, wondering if you have any final thoughts about the Byrd family, the power of kinship care, and how these relationships are connecting with youth.
In meeting with the Byrds, and he talked a lot about just hearing someone's heart. And from the first time that I met them, I was like, wow, I knew that they had a heart to care for kids. And I was just so excited to work with them and to get them as an approved kinship family, so that Jordan can join their family, because they showed me throughout that process how committed they were to Jordan. Again, you have, like you said, if it's going to be a waste of your time if you're in it for the wrong reasons, because the process really helps you to see, okay, I need to be committed to this, because it's not easy. It's not, you have a conversation with me and then you're going to be a kinship family. You have to do some work to learn. You're going to learn, and you're going to have to be flexible to change, and flexible to want to parent differently than what you've learned as you parented your biological kids. I appreciated the fact that they were committed to that entire process and maintain, again, I continue to say this, connections with Jordan's family. They can maintain those connections with Jordan's previous foster family. And that's what they wanted to do, because they knew that at the end, that's what would benefit Jordan. They wanted Jordan to be successful. So in order for us to support Jordan, for him to be successful, let's do everything that we can. He may not feel good at the time, but we're going to do it because we know that that's what's right, and we know that that's what Jordan needs. The Byrds, they want Jordan to, again, they want him to succeed. Ms. Byrd just said that she wants him to be a successful adult. And you are taking part in that. You're providing him with a loving, safe, and stable home. And it's just appreciated from UMFS. It's appreciated from Jordan. So I'm just thankful that you all continue to be committed. Kinship Care is really powerful. It allows children to remain connected to their families. And that's why, it's so important that people hear the message that Kinship Care keeps kids connected. Kinship Care allows kids to continue to have those connections. When you're working with a child through Kinship Care, you probably know a part of their trauma, what they've been through, so you can continue to work with that child, support that child to help them be successful and to parent them through those challenging times. And that's what commitment is all about. Children who maintain those connections to their birth families thrive and care. So I'm so thankful again that the Byrds are continuing to help Jordan repair those relationships, heal, as he continues to remain in their home, but also have those connections with his siblings, with his mom, with his dad, and everybody else that's a part of his family. So again, just from me working with the Byrds, I think we started working together, I can't even remember, June, maybe May or June of 2020. And I'm so appreciative of the heart that you all showed me and the commitment that you continue to have for Jordan being joined with your family.
Mr. and Mrs. Byrd, this has been an absolute pleasure. I wonder if there's anything else you'd like to share that maybe we haven't touched on this morning.
We're thankful for you all even allowing us to be a part of this program. I don't consider it really a program, I consider it ministry. And anybody that takes ministry is not easy, but it's necessary. And we're thankful to see that Jordan, he had to leave because he knows 11:35 class, we'll be all right. But to know that here was a kid who I saw who was probably a BC student, it's a straight A student. Here's a kid who didn't have a job, and on his job they love him. Here's a child who had never had a bank account, and his bank account, he's got over 4 digits and then a decimal point. And to see that, to teach him how to value money, to teach him how to value success, that success is not so much what you put in your pocket, but what you have in your heart. But to see that he's able to grow from that, to see that he's able to do things. Today he's going out to buy his siblings a birthday gift. He's getting his mother a Christmas gift. He's doing those things. And it's not the material things, it's just the fact of giving, learning how to give back. And I think that we take a look at this opportunity for my wife and I, and we want to tell you, Ms. Walker, thank you. Thank you for putting up with my corny jokes. Thank you for, y'all, Ms. Walker can tell you, if she didn't tell you Nate before you started, he's a talker, he's a preacher. If she did tell you, if my wife, she's sitting there patting my hands, tell me, cut it off. So she does it at church too. But the reality, Nate, is that we appreciate you all at UMFS and entrusting my wife and I to take care of a young man who is a great young man. And the future does not, eyes have not seen, ears haven't heard what's going to happen with this great young man. And we just want to tell you all, thank you so much for allowing us to be a part of this.
And I think in the end, the communication, he feels free to come and talk to us just about anything, just about. And so the communication makes it a whole lot better and bond as a family better through that. So we're a family.
It is so appreciated that you're giving us things, but honestly, we would not be able to do this important work without people like you. So what you are doing, taking these tools that Andrea and her team are helping train and teach, and using those in real life are what makes the difference. So we're grateful to you. We appreciate you, Mr. and Mrs. Byrd. Jordan had to return to class, but we know he's doing great things, and we were so thankful that he could join us today. Andrea, I appreciate your time, and I wish everyone a safe and happy holiday season.
Same to you, Nate.
Thank you. Same to you.